Luckily, I remember. So we'll continue. Okay. Anyway, nothing much has been missed because we were just having a revision of the previous material. So in finite difference scheme, we divide the geometry into certain number of grid points or nodes. Okay. So for this geometry, I am showing only the x direction. In the x direction, we have the grid points represented by the index I. So I increases from 1 to some value, say n, I equal to 1, this is I equal to 2, I equal to 3, like this. So for any point, we can represent it by the index I in the x direction and j in the y direction. So this point can be represented as I comma j. Previous point is I minus 1j, next point is I plus 1j in the x direction. And what I have already stated is that the variable values can be represented at this point as phi I minus 1j, phi ij and phi I plus 1j. This can be temperature, this can be velocity, this can be any parameter. Okay. So if it is temperature Ti comma j, it will be Ti comma j, Ti minus 1 comma j, Ti plus 1 comma j. These are discrete values. So this I minus 1 comma j value can be 300 degrees centigrade. The next value can be 325 degrees centigrade. Next value can be 328 degrees centigrade. So like this. Okay. So now using the Taylor series expansion, what we can do is, so the Taylor series expansion is there on the right hand side, right? You can check and compare with this expression. So fx plus delta x. Okay. So if our x point is this I comma j and x plus delta x point is this I plus 1 comma j point. Okay. X plus delta x point is this I plus 1 comma j point. Okay. So fx plus delta x, the function value at x plus delta x. So in this case, this value is phi I plus 1 comma j. Okay, phi I plus 1 comma j. This is the value of the variable at this point, x plus delta x is equal to the value at point x. Okay, fx. So value at point x is phi ij. Okay, so phi I plus 1 comma j is equal to phi ij plus derivative, first derivative with respect to x. So del phi del x at the point ij, okay, at this point itself, del phi del x at ij into delta x by factorial 1 plus this next term is del square phi del x square at ij. So second order term del square phi del x square again at the same point ij into delta x square by factorial 2. Then third term will be del cube phi del x cube ij into delta x cube by factorial 3, and this goes on and on with higher and higher order terms. Okay. So this is the Taylor series expansion of phi I plus 1j with respect to the point ij. Okay. So all the values on the right hand side are for ij. There is no value for I plus 1j. Okay. So everything can be calculated for ij, for example. So now we can write this as just by rearranging the terms, because we are interested in the first derivative del phi del x. Okay, we want to calculate the first derivative del phi del x. So del phi del x, yes, yes, please tell me. Any questions?
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
Or maybe, but now today I am in office. Still the internet connection is poor, is it?
Sir, your voice is fine actually.
Sometimes maybe because of internet, but internet should be okay because this is through LAN wire, not Wi-Fi. LAN cable. Anyway, but I will repeat. So we are interested in this del phi del x ij. Okay, means the first derivative at a certain point. Why? Because we will have certain equation. Like for example, we may have an equation of say it's a 1D conduction problem where we have the term del square t del x square. Okay, so we have a term del square t del x square is equal to some value. 1D conduction problem. So for all the points, we need to discretize the governing equation. So for the ijth point, we need to discretize, or we need to find an approximation of this term del square t del x square. So we are trying to find a method of doing that. Okay. So first we will try to find a method of finding the first derivative. Then we will try to find a method of second order derivatives. Okay, and then we will try to find mixed derivatives. So first derivatives are del phi x, del phi del x, del phi del y. Second order derivatives are del square phi del x square, del square phi del y square, and mixed derivative is del square phi del x del y. Okay, so if we can find these terms, we can replace any of the derivatives, either first order or second order or mixed derivatives in PDEs. In second order PDEs, all the derivatives will be of any of this form. Either this will be first order derivative or second order with respect to x, or second order with respect to y, or mixed derivative with respect to x and y. So we can replace all of them with some approximate equation. Okay, that's what we are trying to find, those approximate equations for the derivatives. Let me show you one example, then you can ask questions. Okay, if it is not clear. So by rearranging the term, we will take this term and take all the other. We'll keep this term on one side and take all the other terms to the other side. Okay, so del phi del x ij is equal to phi I plus 1j minus phi ij. Okay, this minus this divided by delta x. This value goes down, okay, in the denominator, divided by delta x. Minus, so this term next is this term. Okay, minus del square phi del x square ij delta x square by factorial 2 divided by delta x. So one delta x gets cancelled, so we are left with delta x by factorial 2. Next, this term is there, minus del cube phi del x cube ij into delta x cube by factorial 3 divided by delta x. So one delta x gets cancelled, so you are left with delta x square by factorial 3, and so on and so forth. Okay. So this first part of this equation is known as the finite difference approximation or the difference equation. Okay, so we can find this derivative at this point, del phi del x at ij, by using the value phi I plus 1j minus phi ij by this distance. This is also based on common sense. You already know that this is like a linear interpolation. Okay, phi I minus phi I plus 1 comma j minus phi ij divided by delta x gives you the derivative at this point. Okay, all the other terms starting from the second order term up to the infinite order term, all of them are clubbed together as truncation error because they are not taken into calculation. So when you are writing the code, your code will just consist of del phi del x ij is equal to phi I plus 1j minus phi ij by delta x. This part will not be there in the code. Okay, why? Because this is the extra terms. These are the extra terms. These are the truncation error. Okay. So here I am showing the truncation error in the calculation. These are not taken into account. Okay. These higher order terms are generally much smaller than the actual value because this delta x values should be very small. Otherwise, our Taylor series expansion will not be accurate. Okay. So this delta x value, relative value of delta x, has to be very small. Okay. It's non-dimensional value. So what we have learned, we can approximate del phi del x at ij as this. Del phi del x ij is equal to phi I plus 1j minus, so we will keep the diagram open. And we will keep referring to this diagram. So del phi del x at ij is equal to del phi I plus 1j minus phi ij by delta x. Okay. This is one type of representation. And the error due to ignoring the higher order terms is known as truncation error, as I have already mentioned. So this is not the only way to represent the derivative at this point. Okay, as you can see, you may ask me the question that why we have considered only the right side value, why not the left side value? Okay, why we have written phi I plus 1 comma j minus phi ij by delta x. I can also say that del phi del x is equal to phi I comma j minus phi I minus 1 comma j by delta x. So this value minus this value by delta x. Yes, that is also true. Okay, that is another way of representing. Even we can say phi I plus 1 comma j minus phi I minus comma j by 2 delta x, and intuitively it feels more accurate because you are taking equal representation from both sides. Phi I plus 1 comma j minus phi I minus 1 comma j by 2 delta x. That is another way of representing. Okay, there is no single way of representing. Okay. So This way that we have shown just now, okay, using the forward value is known as forward difference. Okay, first order forward difference. Similarly, I will just keep the Taylor series again open in case we need to refer to it. It will look very small, but there is no other option for us. Okay, so the first order forward difference we have already studied, del phi del x at ij is equal to phi I plus 1 comma j minus phi ij by delta x. Plus, what is this term? This is actually capital O. This is written like this. O, this is a O notation. This is known as order of delta x. Why this we are calling this as order of delta x? What is our equation gone? So the first truncation error term. So this is the actual representation. The first truncation error term has the delta x to the power 1 value. Okay. Second term has delta x square value. Third term will have delta x cube value. Next delta x to the power 4. Now if delta x is small, okay, very small, delta x will be the largest term. This term related to delta x will be the largest error term. Delta x square term will be smaller. Delta x cube term will be smaller, even smaller. Okay. So the largest term, the order of the largest term, not the order. Yes, this power of the largest term for delta x is known as the order of truncation error. Okay. So for this case, because it is delta x to the power 1, this is known as order of, means the truncation error is of the order of delta x. Okay. Lowest order term in truncation error has delta x to the first power. Okay. So this finite difference representation can be said to be first order accurate. Please hold on for a minute. बताइए सर. वो मैंने नहीं किया था. हाँ मैं देखा नहीं, मैं देख के कंपाइल कर दिया. वो कैसे 4 वो हुए थे लेक्चर. मैंने एक. Can you hold on for a minute? Okay, let us continue. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is first order forward difference scheme. Okay, first order means the derivative is of the first order. We are representing it by this difference, and it is forward difference because we are taking the forward value for calculating the derivative here. And this error is also of the order first order. Okay, this error is also first order, so it is known as first order accurate. Derivative is first order, error also first order. Okay. Similarly, we can represent first order backward difference. Okay, we can represent first order backward difference. How? So, like I have said, using Taylor series only we can represent. Means what will happen is that you can let me go to the Taylor series. I think that will be better. Okay. Fx minus delta x. You can write instead of delta x, you can take as minus delta x. Okay. So phi I minus 1j is equal to phi ij plus del f del x at ij into minus delta x plus del square phi del x square ij into minus delta x square by 2 plus del cube phi del x cube ij minus delta x to the power 3 is by factorial 3. Like this it will continue. Okay. So if you rearrange these terms, you will again get del phi del x at ij is equal to phi I comma j minus phi I minus 1 comma j by delta x, okay, plus truncation error of the order of first order. Okay, this is also first order accurate because you are using the backward value here. This is known as first order backward difference. Okay, both can be used, first order forward difference as well as first order backward difference. Both are of similar accuracy, first order accurate. Okay. Next, what we can do, we can use these two equations that we have derived. One, this equation, okay, and the other equation is in the previous page we have derived this equation. Okay, when we can use these two equations, from these two equations we can subtract one equation from the other equation, and what will be left is phi I plus 1 comma j minus phi I minus 1 comma j. Okay, let me open these equations on this side. It will look very small, but you have to manage. So one equation is phi I minus 1 comma j is equal to phi ij into some terms. Okay, and the other equation was phi I plus 1 comma j equal to phi ij plus some terms. Okay, so the second equation we will subtract from this equation. Okay, so the phi ij term in both of this equation, the phi ij term gets cancelled. Okay, so the first term that is left is del phi del x ij into delta x. Okay, minus of del phi del x into delta x. So 2 del phi del x will be there. Okay, into delta x, 2 del phi del x into delta x, plus the second order term will again get cancelled. Okay, so the positive terms will get cancelled because we are subtracting, but the negative terms on the second equation, because we are subtracting, they get added. So the next term will be 2 del cube phi del x cube into delta x cube by factorial 3. Then we will have 2 del to the power 5 del phi del x 5 delta x to the power 5 into factorial 5. Divided by factorial 5. Like this it will continue. Okay. So in this case you can see that we can represent del phi del x ij as phi I plus 1 comma j minus phi I minus 1 comma j divided by 2 delta x, like what I have already explained. Okay. This point minus this point divided by 2 delta x. But interestingly here, the error, because you are dividing by delta x all these sides, this delta x cube is getting divided by delta x. So the first term in the error is delta x square, order of delta x square. Okay. So the error is much less. If delta x is less, the error is much less in this type of representation. Okay. So this is second order accurate. We are representing the first order derivative again, and this scheme is known as central difference scheme. Okay. So let me summarize. First we have seen first order forward difference scheme, then we have seen first order backward difference scheme. Now we are seeing first order central difference scheme. Okay. The first order forward and backward difference schemes are first order accurate. The first order central difference scheme is second order accurate. First error term has a proportionality to delta x to the power square. Now if say delta x is very small, say 0.01. So for the first two cases the error will be of the order of 0.01. In this case, the error will be of the order of 10 to the power minus 4. So you can imagine that this is much more accurate. These are in terms of non-dimensional values. If you ask that, but what if I take delta x to be 10 millimeter? So although it is 10 millimeter, with respect to the length scale, non-dimensional form, it will be less than 1. So in that case, delta x is going to be very small. Okay. Other you cannot just say that this is 10, this is 10 square, 10 cube like this, because then all the other values will also scale accordingly. Anyway, so these are some of the representation of the first order derivative. We can even derive higher like derivative representations with higher order accuracy. Okay, fourth order accurate representation also can be derived for this first derivative. Okay, you can try some cases more maybe. Okay. So now we will try to derive an expression for the second order derivative del square phi del x square. You might have already noticed in the previous few classes that these are some of the important derivatives that we encounter in most of the problem, like conduction problem or fluid flow problem. We have derivative like del square u del x square. Mu del square u del x square is the viscous term, or alpha del square t del x square is the conduction term. Okay, so this type of derivative is very common, and we want to replace this with some approximation, algebraic approximation. So what we will do, instead of subtracting these two cases, I will just open this somewhat larger now. Otherwise, it is difficult for you guys to see. And we will toggle between these two. Okay. We'll toggle between these two. So let one equation be this: phi I plus 1 comma j is equal to phi ij plus del phi del x ij delta x plus del square phi del x square. This term is there. And the second equation is the negative one. Okay. Phi I minus 1j is equal to phi ij plus this term plus this term. Okay. If you add these two equations, you will be left with phi I plus 1 comma j plus phi I minus 1 comma j. These two should have been on the same page. Then I could have shown you easily. Is equal to, so now because you are adding these two, you have two phi ij's. One phi ij from here, one from here. Okay. So 2 phi ij. Then what happens to the first order term here? Del phi del x into delta x. The other case we have del phi del x into minus delta x. So this gets cancelled when you add together. So this term is not present. So the next term that is present is the second order term. What is the second order term? Del square phi del x square into delta x square by factorial 2. Here also we have another del square phi del x square into minus delta x square by factorial 2. Minus delta x square is equal to delta x square. So we have 2 delta x square by factorial 2 into del square phi del x square. Okay, so this is what is shown here. 2 del square phi del x square ij into delta x square by 2. Next, the cubic term. The cubic term here is positive, delta x to the power 3. And for the backward difference, the cubic term is negative, minus delta x to the power 3. Wherever we have odd powers, the negative terms will be there. And so all the odd power values will vanish because you are adding them, one positive and one negative will cancel. So this cubic term is not present. So the next term, which will be the fourth order term, will be again present. Okay. The fourth order term is 2 del to the power 4 phi del x 4 into delta x to the power 4 by factorial 4, which is 24. Okay. So 24, you cancel this, so you are left with 12. Okay. Then the next term will be delta x to the power 6 term, then delta x to the power 8 term. Okay, all the odd values are getting cancelled. Is it clear to everyone? You have to write and practice. After the class, you have to write and practice. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So now we can represent this del square phi del x square. You take it to one side. Okay, this 2 gets cancelled. So you are left with one extra delta x square. So you have to divide by delta x square. So what do we have on the other side? Phi I plus 1j plus phi I minus 1j minus 2 phi ij divided by delta x square. Okay. Plus what is the order of truncation error? Delta x to the power 4. So this will be on the other side. So it will be negative. Delta x to the power 4 divided by delta x square. So the error is of the order delta x square. Okay. This is second order accurate. Second order derivative representation. Okay. So finite difference equation for the second order derivative, and this representation is second order accurate. Okay, what is the representation again? Del square phi del x square ij is equal to phi I plus 1 comma j minus 2 phi ij plus phi I minus 1 comma j. What is the significance of this? So if you have this term alpha del square t del x square, we have this type of terms, right? Alpha del square t del x square. At least let me show like this. So say we have this term. Where are the Greek values? Alpha, this is too small. It will take too much time. No point in. I will just verbally say alpha del square T del x square. We can represent it in terms of 3 temperature values. Okay. Let me switch off the fan. It is creating a lot of sound. Oh, automatically sound has vanished. So if we have divide the domain into this type of representation, so we will have 3 temperature values, Ti minus 1 comma j, Tij and Ti plus 1 comma j. So this derivative here, del square T del x square, I can write as this temperature value. So if this is 328, so 328 minus 2 into 325 plus 320 or whatever is the value, okay, divided by delta x square, okay, whatever is the delta x value. So if delta x is 0.01, 0.01 square. Okay. So this is how you can find out what are the derivatives by replacing them with difference equation. So all the derivatives in an equation can be replaced with this type of equation. So there will not be any derivative present in the equation in the PD. All will be like function of you. What is common you can see from all this equation. Either the value at phi ij or phi I plus 1 comma j or phi I minus 1 comma j. Here also phi I plus 1 comma j, phi I minus 1 comma j. Here also phi I plus 1 comma j, phi I minus 1 comma j, phi ij. So using these 3 values, we can find out all the derivatives for the x direction. Okay. Using similar technique, you can find all the derivatives with respect to y direction. Okay. Only thing that will be changed, what is going to change in this equation if we want to find the derivatives with respect to y. So how will I replace
j, we can replace by j plus 1 and j minus 1.
Correct. Good. So it will be replaced by, so it will, I will remain as I, but it will be j plus 1, j and j minus 1. Okay. And this delta x will become delta y direction, because it can be different. The distance in y direction grid points can be different. Okay. I will show you also example. So for example, del square phi del x del y square ij is equal to phi I j plus 1 minus 2 phi I j plus phi I j minus 1 by delta y square, and the error is of the order of delta y square. Okay, same thing, same equation, but in terms for the y derivative. Okay, so it is in terms of j and delta y. So this is how the 2D grid structure looks like in finite difference. Okay, so we have the domain, we divide it into certain number of lines, and at the cross section of the lines we put points. Okay, these are the grid points on nodes. So I is varying along the x direction. This is I equal to 1, I2, I3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And similarly, j varies along the y direction. J equal to 1, j equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So at any point can be represented by its index. So 3, 2. What is 3, 2? This is I is 3 and j is 2. So this point is 3, 2. 2, 3, I is 2 and j is 3. Okay, this one. In general, this is the ijth point where I and j can have any value. Its neighboring points are 4 neighboring points are there. Okay. In the x direction, I minus 1 comma j, I plus 1 comma j. In the y direction, I j plus 1 and I j minus 1. All the derivatives can be represented using these 4 neighboring points, as you can see here. Previously, we have seen that these two are used for the j direction. The top and bottom ones are used. Okay. So this is known as east point, this is known as west point, this is known as north, this is south. Okay, east, west, north, south, these are used. So the last derivative that is left is the mixed derivative, del square phi del x del y ij. Okay, all the other types of derivative you should be now able to represent using finite difference equations. Only the mixed derivative is left, and deriving it is slightly more lengthy. Okay, means more steps are involved. It is not difficult, it's just more steps are involved. So let us try to take a look at that. So again, we will write the difference equations. Sorry, not the difference, the Taylor series expansion. I will keep this open now because I have again written. So you can get an idea from here also. Space is limited. That is the main difficulty in online mode. If it was in classroom, I could have 3 boards and shown you parallelly all the things by writing. Even if I use a writing pad, still space is limited. Means what I can show at one point. So phi I plus 1j is equal to phi ij plus del phi del x ij plus into delta x. This we have already seen, plus del square phi del x square ij delta x square by 2 del cube phi del x cube ij delta x cube by 6. Is there any confusion regarding the first equation? We have repeatedly seen it by now at this point. Okay, it should be very familiar to all of you. You need not remember this or memorize this, but it should be very familiar how it looks like, how this phi I plus 1j can be represented in terms of phi ij. And this is how we have derived the first order terms. Okay. Now, instead of stopping here, what we are going to do is we are going to again take another derivative. So what we see here is that there is a derivative with respect to x. All the derivatives are with respect to x. So now to get a mixed derivative, we will take a derivative of both the sides with respect to y, so that this derivative becomes a mixed derivative. Okay, this is our target. So what we are going to do? Take a derivative with respect to y. So phi ij, I plus 1 comma j, if you take a derivative with respect to y, it becomes del phi del y at I plus 1 j. Okay. Indexes remain same. So del phi del y at ij plus del square phi del x del y at ij into delta x plus del square phi del cube phi del x square del y ij into delta x square by 2, like this. It's just a one additional derivative we are taking. Okay. Say this is equation 1. Similarly, for the phi I minus 1 comma j term, okay, there will be one equation and you can take another derivative of that, okay, with respect to y. It will yield this equation. Del phi del y I minus 1 comma j is equal to del phi del y ij minus del square phi del x del y ij. Minus comes because of minus delta x. Okay. Plus del cube phi del x square del y delta x square by 2 minus again, then plus minus, like this. Alternate terms will be negative. Now what we are going to do? We want this term, right? So as you can see, if we add, this term gets cancelled. So we should subtract this from this. So we should subtract the second equation from the first equation so that we get this term. Okay. So by subtracting the second equation from the first equation, what do we get? Del phi del y at I plus 1 comma j minus del phi del y at I minus 1 comma j. These two terms are there. Del phi del y at ij gets cancelled. Okay, this gets cancelled. Next term is 2 del square phi del x del y ij into delta x. Okay, these two. Then the third term again gets cancelled because this is positive, this is positive. If you subtract, this and this cancels each other, cancel each other. Then fourth term will still remain. Okay, it will be twice because one negative is there. So positive minus minus will become again positive. So 2 del to the power 4 phi del x cube del y delta x cube by 6, like this it will continue. We don't want to know the higher order terms because that will be part of the truncation error. Up to this point, if we know what is the order of truncation error. Okay. So now rearrange the terms. We want this derivative, right? So del square phi del x del y at ij is equal to, so you have to divide by 2 delta x on the other side. So del phi del y at I plus 1 comma j minus del phi del y at I minus 1 comma j by 2 delta x. Okay. Phi plus negative of this term, because you are taking it to the other side, negative of this term into delta x cube, means this term has delta x cube and you are dividing by delta x. So the order is delta x square. Okay. Sign we do not consider in the error. Absolute error is of the order of delta x square. Okay. So the truncation error in this case is also of the order of delta x square up till now. Okay. So now what we are going to do, but we don't want these derivatives. We want in terms of actual values. Okay. Because we, in our equation, we don't want derivatives. We want the actual values. Why do we want the actual values? Because when you are dividing a domain into the grid points, grid structure, you will have the values at only the nodes and only at the grid points. Okay. You will have the values at all the grid points. So if you can write the equation in terms of the grid point values, you can calculate any derivative. Okay. So that is our aim. So we want to write the equation in terms of the grid point values so that we can calculate any derivative and solve the equation. Okay. So del phi del y at I plus 1 comma j, we can represent this by central difference scheme. Okay, remember the central difference scheme? What was the central difference scheme? Del phi del x ij is equal to phi I plus 1j minus phi I minus 1j by 2 delta x. Similarly, del phi del y ij will be equal to phi I j plus 1 minus phi I j minus 1 by 2 delta y. Okay, but this is at I plus 1. Okay, not at I plus 1. So del phi del y at I plus 1 comma j is equal to phi I plus 1 j plus 1, phi I plus 1 j plus 1 minus phi I plus 1 j minus 1 in the j direction. You are taking central difference scheme by 2 delta y. Okay. Similarly, this next equation minus del phi del y at I minus 1 j. Okay. So phi I minus 1 j plus 1 minus phi I minus 1 j minus 1 by 2 delta y by 2 delta x. Okay. This is of the order of delta y square. This second error is of the order of delta y square. So the overall error becomes of the order of delta x square or delta y square, whichever is greater. Okay. Either delta x square can be greater or delta y square can be greater. So del square phi del x del y ij. It is not that it is a combination of delta x square and delta y square. It is whichever is greater. Okay. Finally we can write this as del square phi del x del y ij is equal to phi I plus 1 j plus 1 minus phi I plus 1 j minus 1 minus phi I minus 1 j plus 1 plus phi I minus 1 j minus 1 by 2 delta y into 2 delta x. So 4 delta x delta y plus the truncation error. So this is our, so if you write a code, del square t del x del y term should be written as ti plus 1 j plus 1 minus ti plus 1 j minus 1 like this. So it is in terms of this 4 values. Okay. So the mixed derivative can be written in terms of the 4 neighboring values. Okay. What are these neighboring values? Phi I plus 1. Sorry, these neighboring values. Now it is in terms of these neighboring values. Phi I plus 1 j plus 1 minus phi I plus 1 j minus 1 minus phi I minus 1 j plus 1 minus, so these 4. Okay, let me just show a marker. This value minus this value minus this value plus this value. Okay, these two are plus and these two are minus. Divided by 4 delta x delta y. Okay, so this is our mixed derivative term. Questions? Please practice a few cases. Try to take any of the governing equations that we have discussed previously and try to write the finite difference form of the equation. Each of the derivative you need to replace using a grid structure like this. Okay, I will show you one example, but you can practice for other cases. So just note that the expression for each of the derivative are not unique. Okay, we have already seen the case. So for example, we have seen the first order derivative can be written as first order forward difference, first order backward difference, or central difference. So it is not unique. There is no single value which anybody can say only this is the correct value. Okay, it's not like that. It can be any different representation can be there, many different. Second important thing to note is that we can derive more accurate FD equations. Okay, but more number of neighboring points are required. Again, if we go back to our case, first order forward difference, we need only one neighboring point. It is first order accurate. Backward difference, we need only one neighboring point. It is first order accurate. Central difference, we need two neighboring points. Okay, it is second order accurate. So even we can go to higher orders accuracy, but more neighboring points will be required. Okay, I will give you one example. Just state the example. You can. It is up to you to derive. Second order derivative. Let me keep it open here, so that you can locate. Not the mixed one. Okay, the second order derivative. Del square phi del x square I comma j is phi I plus 1 comma j minus 2 phi ij plus phi I minus 1 comma j by delta x square into order of delta x square. Okay, second order accurate. We can represent the same thing I will show you with fourth order accuracy. For second order accuracy, you need 2 neighboring points. For fourth order accuracy, you will need 4 neighboring points. Okay. Another important thing to note here is that if you decrease the delta x and delta y, okay. So one way of increasing the accuracy is that you can go for more and more complex equations by taking more and more neighboring points. Okay. So calculation will become more difficult, but accuracy will improve. The other option is to keep the equation simple, but take smaller value of delta x and delta y. Okay, that is another option, right? I can take smaller value of delta x and delta y. So that because the order of error is of the order of delta x square or delta x cube like this. But this will need finer grid points. What do we mean by finer grid points? You need to divide this geometry into more number of points. Okay. You need to divide the domain. Instead of 10 by 10, you have to divide it into 20 by 20 or 50 by 50 grid points. And as you can see, then the number of grid points will increase and the calculation time will increase. Okay. So there is a compromise there. If you want to increase the accuracy, calculation time is going to increase. Okay. So this point that the more accurate finite difference equations can be derived with more neighboring points. One example is that the second order term del square phi del x square, instead of writing using 2 neighboring points, I can use 4 neighboring points. The I minus 2 term and the I plus 2 term. Okay. And it can be represented as minus phi I plus 2 comma j plus 16 phi I plus 1 comma j minus 30 phi ij plus 16 phi I minus 1 comma j minus phi I minus 2 comma j by 12 delta x square. Here the accuracy will be fourth order. Okay, or the fourth order accurate. How will we derive this type of equations? Can anybody say? You should practice this. Okay, this can be asked in the exam. In fact, I had asked this in the previous exam to derive this. So how will we, what is the method? You don't have to state everything, but what will be the direction which we are going to follow for deriving this type of thing? Any answers? So what we will start.
We have to write series for like phi I plus 1, phi I plus 2. Then
Yes.
we'll have to manipulate.
And then we have to eliminate as many terms as possible using multiplications,
yes.
right? Okay. So we have to eliminate all the lower order terms. So we need to derive 4 equations, 5 for this. So we will have to derive not only for I plus 1, I comma j, I plus 1 comma j, I minus 1 comma j, which will have these terms. And then we will have to eliminate using those equations. So all the lower order terms. So suitably we have to eliminate. That's why these big terms are coming 16, 30. Okay. So
Sir, can we directly like write phi I plus 2 and then replace the derivatives in that Taylor series by central difference, like original formulas which we have found? So that will be easier, right?
I could not understand your point. Can you repeat again?
Sir, instead of writing like phi I plus 2, phi I plus 1 and solving all these equations together, we can directly like write Taylor series for phi I plus 2.
Yes.
And then all the derivatives which we don't want, that is the d phi by dx.
Yes.
We can replace by central difference which we have already found.
Yes, that can be done. Correct. That is also another way. Correct. Okay. So you have to write the central difference for phi I plus 1 comma j, so that it will have the I plus 2 and I. Okay. You don't need the central difference for I plus 2 comma j. Then it will have the I plus 3 term also. So you need phi I plus 1 comma j term, phi I comma j and phi I minus 1 comma j central difference, and then that will be, then you can rearrange and multiply so that you can replace the derivatives there. Yes, that can be done. Okay, let us take a break here at this point and then we will continue. Though this material has been uploaded, okay, in the Teams portal. So I'm back. Can you see the screen and can you hear me? Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see the screen? No answers?
Yes.
Okay. So any questions on the part? Please read that part, okay, before tomorrow's class. And so I have an assignment problem now. I will formally submit the assignment, means give the question in MS Teams in 1 or 2 days. But I am just going through it now to give you an idea about what are the types of problems that we can do using finite difference method, okay, on a simple level. Even we can solve complex problems also, but in this course we will be tackling simple problems. So please pay attention. So let us consider a 1D domain. Okay, 1D, we will consider a 1D transient conduction problem without any heat source. So let us consider a 1D domain. Let me increase the size. Now that we don't need this. The domain length is from 0 to L. So X is going from 0 to L. And because it's a transient problem, the time is going from 0 to some time t last. Okay. So say L is can be 10 centimeter or any value, and time can be say from 0 to 100 second. Okay. And at the boundary of the two boundaries of the domain, because it's a 1D problem, it's like a single line. So there are 2 points which are the boundaries. At one point the temperature is Ta, it can be say 0 degree centigrade. Another point it is Tv. Okay, it can be say 100 degree centigrade. Okay. And the initial condition is also, these are known as boundary condition, and initial condition is also given, T equal to Ti at time equal to 0. So initial temperature may be say 30 degree centigrade in the entire rod. So initially it is 30 degree centigrade. Now at time t equal to 0, one side is immersed in ice, so it becomes 0 degree, other side is immersed in steam, so it becomes 100 degree. We need to find with time how the temperature in the 1D domain evolve. Okay, we need to find how the temperature in the 1D domain evolve. So this is the problem. So I have divided the question. So derive the finite difference equation. Derive the finite difference equation means from the governing equation. So first you have to select what should be the suitable governing equation for this. Then you have to convert this governing equation by converting each of the derivative and writing them in terms of the finite difference approximation, like what we have seen today. So this process is known as discretization of the governing equation, as I have mentioned previously. Then implement this discretized governing equation by writing a code. So you can write a MATLAB code or any other code. I will formally give you an assignment, but you can write a MATLAB code or using any other programming language. MATLAB is easier, so I am recommending MATLAB, but you can use other programming language also. Okay, Fortran or C. Generally for scientific computing, Fortran or C is used, but nowadays MATLAB has become very popular because it is easy to implement using MATLAB. MATLAB codes run a little slower than Fortran or C codes, but for small problems it is fine. Okay. I've forgotten to make my phone silent. All right. So now after doing this, you can take some suitable values of after writing the code, take some suitable values of Ta, Tv, and Ti. Like I have said, Ta can be 0 degree, Tv can be 100 degree, and Ti can be 30 degree, and solve to find the temperature variation with respect to x at different time t. So at a certain time, say time t equal to 10 seconds, what is the temperature variation in the domain? At time t equal to 20 seconds, what is the temperature variation in the domain? So ultimately, you will see that it reaches a steady state. Steady state, you remember what is the steady state value, right? It is going to be the, what will be the steady state pattern? Very basic question. It will be linear, right? If it goes, it will go from 0 to 100 like this. Okay. So one side will become 0, other side will become 100. Let me increase the size. Like this it will be. Intermediate, so initially the value is 30 degrees centigrade. So initial value may be something like this. So with time, how is the variation going to occur? So after some time it will look like this. Boundary has to be at the boundary temperature, right? Something like this it will go. Then after some more time it will look like this. Sorry. And finally it will become fully linear. Is it clear to everyone? Or is there any doubt? This is simple heat transfer conduction problem. Okay. You should be very familiar with this. How the temperature will evolve. You can take any material property. You can take it to be aluminium or steel or like some copper, aluminium, copper, silver, whatever, and solve this. So this I will give formally as an assignment. You have to submit it within two weeks, and once I give it, and submit the result code and the results also. Okay. So, but before that, because it is a new problem, today let me show you how to at least derive the FD equation for this. Okay. So you can implement it later on as part of your assignment. But let me show you how to derive the FD equation, because this is the first time we are doing in the class. So by looking at this example, you will be able to derive FD equations for other problems also. Okay. So again, let me draw the problem domain. X is going from 0 to L, x equal to 0, x equal to L. At x equal to 0, boundary condition is t is equal to Ta. At x equal to L, boundary condition is t equal to Tb. Initial condition is t is equal to Ti at time t equal to 0. Okay, 1D transient heat conduction problem without source term. What is the procedure for solving? We have already discussed. First, we need to choose the appropriate governing equation. Since it's a conduction problem and 1D problem, but there is variation with time, we have to select the 1D transient heat conduction equation. What is the 1D transient heat conduction equation? Rho Cp delta T capital T by delta small t is equal to K del square T del x square. So if you take rho Cp to the other side, you are left with alpha, okay, thermal diffusivity. So del T is equal to alpha del square T del x square, where capital T is the temperature, small t is time, x is x direction. I hope this is very clear to everyone, because this is very basic heat transfer. Okay. Now let us consider the domain.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us consider the domain. In the x direction, let us divide the domain into n number of parts. Okay. It is up to you in the code to decide what will be the value of n. You can take n as a variable so that n can be varied. So you can take, so user can give n equal to 10, n equal to 20 like this. But say there are n number of points. Okay, not n number of division, n number of points. So these n points are represented by the index I. So I varies along the x direction. Okay, I equal to 1, I equal to 2 like this. Some general point is I, index I. Okay, next point is I plus 1, before that is I minus 1, like this up to I equal to n. What is the second direction? Second direction is the time direction, not y direction. Okay, so the time direction index, let us call that as k. Okay, because j generally we use for the y direction, we are going to call it as k. Okay, so in the time direction, the first time t equal to 0 is k equal to 0. Sorry, k equal to 1. Then the next time step, so there will be a time step also, like delta x, there will be a delta t also. Okay, that is known as time step. Delta x is grid spacing or grid step. Delta t is time step. So t equal to, say, delta t can be, say, 0.1 second. So this is 0 second, this is 0.1 second, 0.2 second, 0.3 second, like this. Okay. So at some point, the index is k, next time step is k plus 1, future, and previous one, past time step is k minus 1. Okay. What does this horizontal line represent? say at the k value, what is the horizontal line represent? The values at the horizontal line.
At particular time, at different sections of the grid, we are mapping the temperature.
Correct. At particular time corresponding to the kth time step, if k is 20 and time step is 0.1, so 0.1 into 20. So at time 2 second, what are the temperature value at all the grid points? Okay. So next one is again at the same grid points, but at the next time. Okay. So along the vertical direction, we are increasing the time. Along the horizontal direction, we are increasing the x value. Okay. This is our time space grid structure, you can say. So space time grid structure. Okay. One direction is along space, one direction along time. Now what is our task? Finite difference we have studied. This is first order derivative del t del t. Okay, how will we represent it? We have already studied. Let me go back. Central difference scheme. So we will use central difference scheme. Okay, error we don't need to write. So this error we don't need to write. We will just write the actual representation. Del phi del x ij is equal to phi I plus 1j minus phi I minus 1j by 2 delta x. Okay. Same thing here. Instead of phi we now have t, and instead of x we have small t. So del t is equal to ti k plus 1. Okay, because the index is k plus 1 here next to the k index, and the previous, sorry, I have done here a
forward difference.
Forward difference. Okay, not a central difference. So you can use central difference also, but for this type of problems, generally we use forward difference. Okay, there is a reason for that. Just because to get the next grid point value, we can use only previous grid point value to get the value. Okay, if you use central difference, you need much previous value. Okay, so in this type of problems, we can use forward difference. But anyway, okay, so what for using forward difference, what you can see is that. So let me show forward difference. Yes. Tik plus 1 minus Tik by delta t. Okay. And for this del square t del x square term, alpha into del square t del x square term, we can replace this by the second order derivative approximation. So remember, so it will be Ti plus 1 comma k minus 2 Tik plus Ti minus 1 comma k by delta x square. Okay, one alpha is there because of this diffusivity. So now we will replace this equation, the terms in the equation, with these values. Okay. So one side we will replace by this value, one side we will replace by this value. By doing this, what we have done, we have replaced all the partial derivatives from the PD, and we are only left with grid point values. Okay. What are the grid point values we are left with? We are left with Ti plus 1 comma k, this one, Ti comma k, this one, Ti minus 1 comma k, again Ti comma k, and Ti k plus 1. Okay, so this value at the center and these three values. So using these four values, we have replaced the entire equation. Okay. So let me increase the size somewhat. Why is this going in a step like this? Okay. So here what we have assumed, one thing we have implicitly assumed, okay, I have not mentioned. When you are calculating this del square t del x square, we have assumed that the t values are all at the kth time step, not at the k plus 1 or average of k and k plus 1. Because we are going from, see, the time is going from k to k plus 1 in the forward direction. We are going from this time to this time. Okay. So we need to appropriately take assumption whether for the x direction, which values we should take, whether we will take in the midpoint or at the bottom or at the top. So here we have taken at the bottom values. Okay, previous time step values, the k time step values. Okay, we could have taken the average values also. So instead of Ti plus 1 comma k, I could have taken half of Ti plus 1 comma k plus 1 plus Ti plus 1 comma k. Okay. So depending on this, there are different types of schemes. Again, if there is any confusion, please ask me. This is very important.
Sir, is this why like we generally use central difference? Because like here we wrote a time step k, but Like if we would have written like the del t by del t as a central difference, then this would have been the average value between k plus 1 and k minus 1.
No, that is not a problem. We could have written because see what will happen is that I will discuss the way we will proceed is that we start from the bottom line. All the values at the bottom line are known because this is initial condition. So then we find the next line values. I will come to your question. Okay. So once we find all the next line values, then because this is now known, we proceed to the next line values. Okay. So using using central difference, if you write for calculating this line, you need the two previous line values. Okay, you need the two previous line values. So because you will have the two previous line values, you can always calculate the next line value. Only problem, where will the problem be? For calculating this line. Okay, for this line you don't have the previous line value. So in this case you cannot use central difference for the boundary. So for the boundary anyway you have to use forward difference. Because you don't, for if I want to find the value at this point, I can have this point value and the bottom point I don't have. Because you anyway need for the boundary a separate treatment, it is better to just go with forward difference scheme for the entire grid. Okay. So otherwise for the internal grids we could have taken both values. Okay. But what I am explaining is a slightly different thing. I am saying that not for this, for the x direction. Okay, for the x direction, this alpha del square t del x square, this does not mention anything with respect to ij, right? So what we are doing is we are going from time k to k plus 1. Okay, and this variation we are finding in terms of the heat flux along the x direction. So at what time should we calculate the heat flux? Whether we will calculate it at this present moment or at the future moment or in between the future and present moment. Okay. So intuitively it feels that the most accurate is in between the future and present because you are going from, or let me explain in another way. Okay. This future and past is creating confusion. Say you know the value at time t equal to 10 seconds. Okay. You know all the values at time t equal to 10 seconds. All the values in the rod you know at 10 seconds. Now you want to find the value at all the points at t equal to 11 seconds. Okay. So you know the values at t equal to 10 seconds. You want to find the values at 11 seconds. Okay. So this will give you t at 11 seconds minus t at 10 seconds for this grid point by delta t, which is 1 second, is equal to some heat flux. So at what time will you calculate the heat flux? Whether you will consider the heat flux at 10 seconds or whether it will be at 11 seconds or in between 10 and 11 seconds, say at 10.5 seconds. What do you think should be the most appropriate value? Okay. Based on this, there are different schemes. Okay. And each of them has a separate name. I will explain. Okay. Is my point clear? What is the confusion?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. This is very, very important. Okay. So I can take this flux with respect to all the values at 10 seconds. Okay. Or I can take all the values at 11 seconds. I don't know the values at 11 seconds, but I can write in terms of the values at 11 seconds. This will be unknown. Or I can write as a mixture of 10 and 11 seconds, means halfway in between. Okay. So in this case, because I want to show you a simple problem, I have taken all the previous values at 10 seconds. So all the kth values. Why? Because in this case, it is very easy to calculate, as I will show you. And then we will discuss the other cases in the next class. So here we have assumed that for calculating the spatial derivative, this is known as spatial derivative, the k time values can be used. Okay. This is known as explicit approach. This method is known as explicit approach. If you use k plus 1h values, it is known as implicit approach. Okay. There can be other approaches also for calculating the spatial derivatives, such as taking all the k plus 1 time values. Okay. Let me show you the difference. So alpha del square t del x square, instead of the k values, I can write as alpha ti plus 1 k plus 1 minus 2 ti k plus 1 plus 2 ti minus 1 k plus 1. Okay. So flux using these values. Okay. Not at this line, but at this line by delta x square. So this is known as implicit approach. Okay. So both are the two different approaches. So now I will show you explicit approach so that you can implement this explicit approach because it is much easier to implement. Implicit approach is more difficult to implement. Okay. So now write this equation. So replace this delta t by this value and del square t del x square by this value. You will get. Let me again reduce back the size because I want to keep the domain also open. Where is the domain? Not this one. So this is our equation now. Tik plus 1 minus Tik by delta t is equal to alpha Ti plus 1k minus 2 Tik plus Ti minus 1k by delta x square. Okay. So, or you can write by rearranging the terms, you can write Tik plus 1 is equal to Tik plus alpha into delta t by delta x square. Okay. Into Ti plus 1k minus 2 Tik plus Ti minus 1k. This is the discretized equation of the PDE. Okay. This is also known as difference equation. This PDE has been converted to an algebraic equation for the point Ik. Okay, we have converted it to algebraic equation. This is known as the discretized equation or difference equation. What do you feel by looking at the equation? At a certain point, kth time step, if we know all the values at the kth time step, can we calculate all the values at k plus 1 time step? If I know all the values at kth time step, I know Tik, Ti plus 1k, Ti minus 1k. So I will be able to calculate Tik plus 1. Okay, next value. Similarly, for this one also I will be able to calculate based on these 3 points. Okay, so if you know all the previous time step values, you can directly calculate all the next time step values. Once you know all the next time step value, then you can calculate again the next time step value. So you can just proceed along the time direction step by step. Okay, this is known as time marching. Any confusion? I will show you using a diagram also how this time marching occurs. I will show you the algorithm from the beginning, okay, so that you can implement easily. But at this point, try to understand so it will be more clear to you. Otherwise, I will show you. Okay. So, because we have used explicit method, Tik plus 1 can be directly calculated based on from the difference equation as all the other values are known. This is what is written here. Okay. So basically for explicit method, Tik plus 1 can depends on old time step values of Ti plus 1, Ti and Ti minus 1. What are the old time step values? Ti plus 1k, Tik and Ti minus 1k. Okay. So what is the solution process now? Let me open another diagram. Slightly smaller. Solution process. Okay. So what are the known values? Let us first try to understand what are the known values. Initial condition. So what is the initial condition in this diagram? Which points are the known values based on initial conditions? The temperature at which points will be known based on initial conditions? What is the meaning of initial condition?
Sir, first and last.
Initial condition means last or only first? Initial
First.
value only first. Can you tell the last condition of time? Means in future you cannot tell, right? That is the entire point in time marching. We have discussed also. So I cannot tell what will be the temperature at 100 seconds. I only know the temperature at the beginning. That from calculation we have to find what is the temperature at 100 seconds. So initial condition is the first means what? This row. Which line will be the initial condition?
Sir,
The
the
dot.
first k equals to 0, or in this case k equals to 1.
Okay, k equal to 1. So this value, this value, this value, this value. So at k equal to 1 means at time equal to 0. All the x point values are known, right? Because along the entire rod, you know that the temperature is 30 degrees centigrade. Okay, it is given. So initial condition is given for the entire x but at time t equal to 0. Now what will be the boundary conditions? How do we locate the boundary conditions in this case? Along the diagram.
Sir, like we know that at x equals to 1 at any time k it is ta. That's what it is.
At I equal to 1. At I equal to 1. X equal to 0. At I equal to 1 for any k, the value is ta. So all the points along this line, right? What is the other boundary condition?
At I equals to n at any time it is tb.
These are also known points. Okay, so we know all the values on these points. Bottom line, left line, and right line. Okay, these are known values for us based on initial and boundary condition. Is it clear to everyone? Or is there any doubt? So what is not known to us in that case? Only the internal points, right? Only these points. The points within this green area are the unknown values for us. All the points outside this green area is known, or is it not? Can you confirm that all the values outside the green area are known? Come on. I need answers. What happened? Students are there. No one is replying. Is my statement correct that all the values within the green area are unknown and all the values outside the green area are known? All the point values. Who is there? Shivangshu, is my statement correct?
Yes, sir. We have to find the values in the green.
Yes, we have to find there. So what will be the solution process? We already have this equation, right? This difference equation. So we are going to use this difference equation. Okay. So how will we use this difference equation? What do we see in the difference equation? That for I k plus 1, we need the three other values at kth time step. Okay. So I k, I plus 1k, and I minus 1k. If I know these three values, I can find this value. Okay. If I know these three values, I can find this value. Okay. Because this equation on the right hand side, you can see that these three values are there, and on the left hand side, this value is required. Okay. So we will start from the bottom, and we will first try to find the value of 2, 2. Okay. 2, 2. How will we find the 2, 2 value? For the 2, 2 value, the equation will have these three values. Okay. K equal to 1, I equal to 1, K equal to 1, I equal to 2, and K equal to 1, I equal to 3. All these three are known from the initial condition, and this is from the boundary condition. Here, these internal points are initial condition. These two are boundary condition. Okay. Based on this, we find this value. Next, this point value we can find based on these 3 points. Next, this point value we can find on these 3 points. Okay. So each of the value for the second row we can find using the bottom row values. Is it clear to everyone? I hope it is clear. Yes. Okay.
Yes,
so
sir.
now we know all the second row values. Now what will we do next? We will go for calculation of these values. So this value I will explain here step by step. Okay. So now this value we need. So this value will be based on this value, and this value, right? So if for this case, I can find the value based on these 3 values. Similarly, I can find this value based on this value, and this value. Okay. Similarly, this value I can find based on these 3. So all these internal grid points for the third row also I will be able to find. Okay. Similarly, I will continue. So in general, for the k plus 1th grid row, this value I will find based on these 3 points. This will already be known from previous calculation, right? So this value I will find from these 3 points. So like this. So once I know the previous value, previous time value, I can find the next time value. Once I know this time value, I can find this time value. Once this is known, I can find this time value. Okay. Then this time value. Like this, I will proceed along time. This is known as time marching. Okay. So this has been written here. Okay. I am not going into details, but this already is written here. Okay. So like this, once we proceed, we will find the final value at the final time, whatever is asked for us. So if somebody asks that at t equal to 100 seconds, what is the value? You can find the value. So this you need to implement using by writing a code, and then select some suitable values and solve and submit the code to me. I will give you a formal assignment statement, and you have to submit within 2 weeks. Okay. Any questions, any doubts regarding this?
No, sir.
Okay. So you will see that this is very interesting, means you can predict lot of things, temperature profiles. Later I will give a 2D assignment. You will be able to predict many interesting real life scenarios by using this type of simple codes. Okay. So just a few discussion points regarding this, and in the next class we will go to explicit and implicit approach. Okay. So the truncation error for this algorithm is, for the time step is first order accurate. Okay. Because we are using the first the forward difference, and the second order spatial step is second order accurate. We have seen that this is second order accurate. Okay. So this algorithm is first order accurate in time and second order accurate in space. Okay. Truncation error is first order accurate, sorry, of the order of first order in time and second order in space. If delta t or delta x tends to 0, obviously the error, which is proportional to delta t and delta x square, also tends to 0. So the truncation error tends to 0, and the difference equation becomes equal to the original differential equation. What is the difference between difference equation and differential equation? This is the difference equation. Okay. And this is the differential equation. So both become same at the limit delta t and delta x tends to 0. At the limit delta t and delta x tends to 0, this difference equation is equal to the differential equation. Okay. If this condition is satisfied, we call this as the difference equation is, or the difference representation is consistent. Okay. So to get a proper numerical solution, we need a few criteria. What are these? The difference equation should be consistent, which means that if delta t and delta x tends to 0, the finite difference representation should go to differential equation. Can you state for what order of truncation error, if delta t and delta x tends to 0, the difference equation will not go to differential equation? Truncation order will not become 0. For what order of accuracy the truncation or error will not become 0 if delta t and delta x tends to 0? Very easy question. If it is first order, both the terms are first order, delta t and delta x, then if delta t and delta x goes to 0, will the truncation error become equal to 0? Shivangshu or anyone who else who is there? Shivangshu has already answered.
No, sir.
Shubhangi, what will happen? If delta x and delta t tends to 0, and I have both time and space first order accurate, will we get truncation error equal to 0? I cannot hear anything.
What, sir? Can you repeat?
I will repeat. Who is it? Aniket. Aniket, yes. If delta t and delta x tend to 0, okay, time step and space step tend to 0, means I have infinite number of grid points and infinite number of time steps. If my algorithm is first order accurate, means the truncation error is of first order for both the space and time step. Will the truncation error go to 0 if delta t and delta x go to 0? Is my question clear or shall I repeat? Truncation error is proportional to delta t, first order accurate, and is proportional to delta x, first order accurate. Will the truncation error become 0 if delta t and delta x go to 0? What has happened?
Yeah,
Very simple
sir,
question. It should, right? So it's
go to
proportional to delta t. If delta t becomes 0, it's proportional, it should go to 0. What if it is second order accurate? If it is proportional to delta t square and delta x square, then also it will go to 0, right?
Yes, sir.
So in which case it will not go to 0? For what order it will not go to 0? First order it will go to 0, second order it will go to 0, third order it will go to 0. So for what order of truncation error will it not go to 0?
If it is of 0th order or constant.
0th order.
Of 0th order.
Constant.
Constant.
Yes. So 0th order. Okay. If it is of 0th order, it is not dependent at all on delta t and delta x. Then it will not be consistent. Okay. Because it will not go to 0. It cannot be consistent. Second thing is that to get a proper solution, the numerical algorithm needs to be stable. Okay. Stable means that, so when you run a simulation or when you run the program, the errors tend to accumulate, means it can increase with time or it may not increase with time. If the errors increase with time, what will happen? After a certain time, say you have certain error in after one time step, you have more error in the next time step, you have more error in the third time step. So the total error will blow up. After some time it will become very large. So the solution will become wrong. So if this does not happen, if the errors do not increase with time, then we call that the solution is stable. Okay, so we need the solution to be consistent and stable. And the third thing is that the boundary condition should be taken care of properly, which we have already seen, that the algorithm should take into account the boundary conditions properly. Okay, so if these conditions are met, we will be able to get a proper solution. We'll stop here. I will, within 1 or 2 days, I will properly submit an assignment problem statement. But the assignment will be the same, what I have discussed. Okay, you have to write a code and solve the equation. Try to write it on your own. See, this is not, there are marks associated with this assignment, but you are not writing it for getting marks. You are writing it to understand CFD. CFD is a course which is quite different from other type of courses. Here, I cannot give you many questions which can be solved using pen and paper. You have to write course to understand the course. Okay. If you do not write, you will just float through the course and get some good marks also maybe. And ultimately finish the course, but you will not understand properly the crux of the course. So to understand or to get a proper understanding of the course, you need to write codes on your own. Okay, or you can discuss with your friends, but after that you write code on your own so that you understand what are the difficulties associated with writing a CFD code. So try this within and submit it to me within the due date, which will be in 2 weeks. Okay, I will properly give you assignment statement. Take suitable values, like you can take some practical example also, aluminium or copper or something, and solve it. So next class means tomorrow we will see in more detail what is this explicit and implicit scheme. Today I have just briefly mentioned about this explicit and implicit scheme. So we will go into more details in the next class. Okay. Tomorrow will be a short class. I think this notes is there. Okay. So any questions on the material or anything related to anything else?